Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gaiman, and this is your round one reaction pod for the U.S. Open. That's right. The U.S. Open is here, and joining me to break it all down, I've got Mark Immelman here. Hey, Mark, how's it going?
I'm on vacation. Things are going great, man. Look at my South African World Cup soccer T-shirt on. I've been watching golf the whole day. I even logged onto your strokes gained leaderboard there for a while, but then I was like, can't be dealing with this, and I just watched some more golf. So
there you go. You're on vacation. Don't think too much about it. And I've also got Doug Bell joining us. Doug, welcome. Thanks for being here. And how about that Thursday at Winged Foot?
Wow, it was wild, Rick. I did also log on to your strokes gain thing, and it was very confusing. I kept trying to follow it, and I'm like squinting. I'm like, I need to just go back and start watching and let Rick explain it later. But yeah, it was fun. Unprecedented day at Winged Foot. I never thought I'd see all these low scores. Crazy, crazy opening round.
Yeah, let's talk about it, right? I mean, the storyline all week long was this course is going to be difficult. The winning score is going to be 5 over par. I was promised carnage, Doug, on Twitter. I was promised it. And I will say this. I mean, the course did still play 2.5 strokes over par on Thursday. Sure. It was not easy, but not maybe what we were expecting out of the gate.
Yeah, you know, when you go to past history, Jeff Ogilvy was +5. Hale Irwin, the massacre at Winged Foot, was +7. Billy Casper, when he won there, laid up at the long par 3 4 days in a row because it was such a hard hole. Yeah, we were expecting really just carnage. They're throwing that word out there. Yep. But, you know, it was interesting. Paul Azinger mentioned at least 4 times that the USGA set it up more conservatively today because it got dark earlier. Here we are in September, and they wanted to get the field through. And so I texted a friend of mine who's a longtime USGA official. He does all the tournaments where I live in the state of Alabama, and he's up at Winged Foot. And he responded, and he said, yeah. He goes, that's pretty accurate. And he said, but count on it getting a lot tougher this weekend. But what Azinger was saying was accurate. Today, the hole locations were much, much easier. And listen, it's still Winged Foot, right? But they were easier today than they're going to be.
And there were certainly big numbers out there. If you were out of position, there were double bogeys, there were triple bogeys staring you in the face, Mark. And that point about the daylight, I mean, we had heard earlier in the week, like 90% of the work is being done by the maintenance crew in the dark, just because we don't have those long summer hours in the Northeast like we might in a normal year. So I guess the way to, are we just expecting this to kind of play similarly on Friday? I know the weather's going to be a little bit different, but also when they cut this down and they've only got, you know, however many guys make it through, end up, you know, 60 in ties, do we start to see it get ramped up on the weekend?
I would think so. But to Doug's point, a lot of the hole locations were easy, okay? But if the greens are a click firmer and a little bit faster, those easy hole locations aren't easy because then approach shots aren't sticking where they're landing. Because how many balls did you see where the ball would actually dig into the green, jump forward, take some spin, and even not by using the cambers of the green? So for me, yes, they can switch those sub-areas on Friday evening, but really to get a leg up on this thing because you're going to need some wind and a whole bunch of sunshine. There was barely any today. It was overcast skies most of the day, so all the moisture was holding the golf course. So you've got a soft place. They're going to have to switch on those sub-areas tomorrow if they want it firm and fast in the weekend. But really is the way it's playing right now, because if they're concerned about getting a full field in, we're going to see the same thing tomorrow. It's going to be a similar soft setup. And I'm not so sure they can get this place real fiery by Saturday afternoon. Maybe Sunday. Maybe Sunday you might see the carnage. You might see the massacre. But the truth of it is, to me, it was just really receptive greens. I mean, those greens were soft. It was target practice if you were playing from the fairway. And if you give a PGA Tour player a number where they know the ball's going to land and be somewhere close to that, they're going to have a field day. The only time you saw the balls really bound through greens and stuff was if players were coming out of the rough. So I thought it was very fair. I thought it's still a good challenge, but soft greens, that's a happy hunting ground for a PGA Tour player.
It is a happy hunting ground, and there were a couple of big names who took advantage of it early. Doug Bell, Justin Thomas goes out in cards, 6 birdies and a bogey. I think I saw maybe every shot Justin Thomas hit. Yeah. It was tactical. I mean, I can't remember him getting in too much trouble at any moment. It just felt like he was in complete control.
Yeah, his iron play is still considered top 2 or 3 on the PGA Tour, and today it was exceptional. And I think when you throw out your numbers, Rick, I think he gained 6 shots on the field, strokes gained,
He did.
approach shots. I mean, that's impressive. The thing about Justin Thomas, he does have a major championship, but the one thing that has kind of held him back, and I saw it at Eastlake just a couple of weeks ago, he does spray the driver or the 3-wood, whatever he's hitting off the tee, he sprays it around a bit and needs to be more accurate. And today he gave himself a lot of chances. And when you give a player of that caliber, it starts off on the tee, and then obviously he's a great iron player. And then today the putter was hot, Rick. We haven't seen that in a while. And I talked to Justin 2 weeks ago at Eastlake, and he told me he'd never played Winged Foot in competition, but he said, I love the place. I've been up there playing with Tiger in some practice rounds. He goes, one of my favorite golf courses I've ever played. And I think we saw that today. Listen, 5 under sets him up for he can make some mistakes now over the next few days. I mean, what a great opening round for Justin Thomas.
Certainly was, Doug. And just to build on that real fast, you used the term tactical, Rick. His comments afterwards to me were fascinating because he said his warm-up wasn't as good as what he would have liked it to be going into a major championship. So he gets out on the golf course, not that sure where the golf ball's going to go, and he hits a few balls on the button, but you could see a U.S. Open style approach out of him. He didn't go after a number of shots. He took advantage where he could, but he sort of picked birdies off. And he played the golf course in a real championship, sort of Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods kind of a vein. And I think sometimes in many respects for the tour player, especially in a difficult major, the worse your warm-up is, the more you get out there kind of with a little bit of defense in mind. And it looked like he did for a while. And then he picked up a birdie early, then gave it back. But then from there, just sort of let the round come to him. And it was very patient. It was clinical. And I was highly impressed. Look, the score is great. But just the way he put it together to me I was like, wow, this is a guy that is doing major championship stuff right now.
It was absolutely phenomenal. We saw a 66 from Patrick Reed early in the day, Doug, and this was kind of a bit of a different story, and I don't know how well this projects the rest of the week because Patrick Reed hit 5 fairways on Thursday, which is usually not a recipe for success around Winged Foot. And then he, oh, by the way, 1 hops in an ace on number 7. So that goes a long way. But, whether you want to say, does this look well statistically moving forward, Patrick Reed is the type of guy that I'm not sure it matters. Like, he just finds a way to be involved, finds a way to put his name in contention. And you always have to talk about him.
It was funny. When he finished, he held the record for the lowest first round in U.S. Open history at Winged Foot. And then Justin Thomas, 10 minutes later, beats the record. But, yeah, it really was a phenomenal day as far as getting up and down. And listen, I've always considered Tiger the best grinder I've ever seen walking around out there. I've never seen a guy with such intensity turning over par rounds into even par, under par rounds. But Patrick Reed is number 2. I mean, this guy – he plays hard, especially on difficult golf courses. And you hit 5 fairways and you do what he did today. That was remarkable. He had a double bogey on the card too. Yeah. His sponsor in his golf bag is Grind Matters. That's the company that makes his golf clubs. Yeah. And it's so apropos because grind does matter when it comes to Patrick Reed. Not the longest, certainly not the straightest. Hits that right to left shot. And most of the guys hit left to right. Winged Foot, though, the right to left kind of works a little bit more than some of these other golf courses, but I thought it was very impressive. I can't wait to see what he does in round 2 because after you have a round like that where you work so hard and you come in with such a low score, I want to see what he does in round 2 because he's going to have to grind it out again.
Well, look, I'm not trying to make, sunshine and lollipops out of nothing here because you can't play out of missing fairways. But the one thing that is bad for a PGA Tour player is if you see a guy missing in 2 directions. We saw it out of Phil, we saw it out of Tiger, Jordan Spieth, heaven forbid. But Patrick Reed, from my recollection, Rick, I'm sure you got a number that can back this up. Most of these misses off the tee were to the left. And so he's got one direction going on. And when you give a player of his sort of caliber that can really grind it out, to Doug's point, if you give him something he can sort of aim, he's going to find his way around there. But if you're on the tee and you're like just covering all ports of New York State, that's a difficult deal. So I think in as much as what it is a grind, I don't think it's that big a deal going forward because he's got one area he needs to iron out. But if you're unsure and it's coming out of both barrels, then it's a different deal entirely. And then I can sort of forgive. Then I can say, look, 5 fairways is a problem. One directional miss, it's going to be challenging, but you can manage.
So we've got Justin Thomas at the top of the leaderboard. Patrick Reed is in contention, and we deserve this in 2020. Rory McIlroy has injected his name onto this leaderboard. And Doug, we'll start with you. Again, very impressed with Rory. He goes out in 32. He hits, 15 out of 18 of his greens. He had the putter rolling there for a while on the front nine. I think the bigger thing with Rory is, it feels like in recent memory, he's kind of played himself out of majors on Thursdays, right? And for him to be already in the thick of it, we know he's got the staying power.
Yeah, it's been a long time, though. Remember when he won those 4 majors? It's like, oh, my gosh, all he needs is the Masters to complete the Grand Slam. But wait a minute, that was a long time ago. And so you're right, he hasn't been in contention. But the number that is important for Rory today is 1. 1 bogey. 4 birdies, 1 bogey. I mean, that's playing pretty strong around Winged Foot when you can manage that place with just 1 blemish on the card. So it was a great start for Rory. I mean, he hasn't gotten out of the gates that quickly in a long, long time. And we talked a lot about the having the baby at East Lake, the Tour Championship, and he even spoke about it was weighing on him leading into the Tour Championship. And you know what? Let's take him for his word. Maybe that really was on his mind. And now he's freed up. And what I saw today was a golfer who, man alive, if Rory can putt like that, look out for McIlroy.
I've said it, and I've said it on this podcast before, and Carl's given me grief for the fact he goes, if Rory drives the ball and he leads the field strokes gained off the tee, he's going to win. And we've seen that he's led the field strokes gained off the tee, and he misses putts that mean something. Even on a Thursday, he gets behind the 8 ball, then he plays too aggressive, and the next thing he trips himself up further, and then all of a sudden it's a bridge that's just too far, even for a thoroughbred like him. And what he did today, the ball striking off the tee was beautiful. Iron game was well controlled. Never looked to me like he tried to overhit an iron club. And there was also an element of defense about him after a conversation with Nick Faldo, incidentally. But then the key was he made putts that meant something. He made a few saves, because he hit 15 greens, so that's 3 greens missed. He's 2 of 3 scrambling. If you 2 of 3 scrambling for the rest of the week, and you, Rory McIlroy, I will put there. Okay,
that's the caveat. And you're Rory McIlroy. I guess he can make that work. Well, it is the best of both worlds, Mark, because he's second in the field off the tee and also rolled a bunch of putts in, which is that's a deadly combination. Tiger Woods, the big cat. Doug, I had to squint to find some pars on this scorecard. I mean, he had a bunch of circles. He had a bunch of squares. It's interesting because to me, Tiger's he's such a momentum player, right? When he gets it going, he's hard to stop. When he doesn't have it going well, it's kind of hard to flip for him. And he started off poorly. He bogeyed 2 of his first 5 holes. Then he had that stretch from 9, 10 to 11, 3 birdies in a row. And you're saying, all right, get this in the clubhouse, make one more coming in. And then the wheels fell off a little bit. He bogeys 17, he double bogeys 18, and at the end of the day, it's a 3 over 73.
Yeah, and Rick, I love reading all your stuff about the numbers. And in 21 U.S. Open starts prior to this week, his opening round scoring average was 72.43. So he goes out today and shoots 73. So that's kind of what Tiger's done now for 2 decades, right? Could have been better, but you have to go back to 2012. The last time that Tiger Woods opened with a round in the 60s in the United States Open. And when they introduced him on the tee today, I watched every shot. I mean, I was glued to the monitors, right? And they introduced him, 3 U.S. Open titles, but the last one was 2008. So again, Tiger's not the Tiger of old. We know that. And he reminds me, and I'll use a baseball analogy, he's like the pitcher who used to throw 100 miles an hour and strike everybody out. And then he had Tommy John surgery and he came back and now he throws off-speed stuff. He throws curveballs and he throws, he positions his ball, throws it up there, tries to full hitters. And that's kind of what Tiger is. He's not the same player he was. And when you have it at a place like Winged Foot, as difficult as this golf course is, I think he could make the cut. He's going to have to shoot another round similar to what he did in round 1 and round 2. But to think that Tiger, and listen, 73, he's 8 back, right? Round 1, there's plenty of time. But I don't think the modern day Tiger is capable of coming back from 8 back at a U.S. Open.
here's where it stands, and I might need to click to look at the card so I don't make a mistake on the numbers here. But remember, he had a putt on the 12th hole for four birdies in a row.
Yep.
And everyone is like, whoa, here we go.
Yeah, that was me. That was my exact quote.
Left hole location on par 3, the 13th. He misses that left, no chance from in there, makes bogey. And then there was a tee shot on the following hole. I think it was 14. Yeah, it's 14. He sets up there with fairway metal, and he looks like he's trying to hit it down the left and hit one of those sting cuts into the fairway. Well, the thing starts off at the left bunker, like it should, and it misses in the right bunker. So that ball, flying low, has curved, 30 yards in the air? So all of a sudden, I look at this, I'm like, nah, that's not good. No, he's trying not to miss it left, but he's curving the thing too far to the right-hand side. So he makes bogey there. The following hole, he blows one way right. And all of a sudden, you could sort of see that he was keeping things together a little bit. And all of a sudden, that heel cut sort of exposed the thing a little bit. And then from there, it just got downright messy. And I saw, that pitch shot up 18. That was visions of Phoenix from a few years ago.
Wow.
Difficult from over there. But remember the Jeff Ogilvy pitch shot. You've got to be able to bounce that thing in the hill and really nip the wedge onto there. He stuck the leading edge in the ground. Ball comes up short, makes double. But again, he was nearly four birdies in a row, and then all of a sudden things sort of got waylaid. So the thing that jumps out to me and it was concerning was that Sting 3-wood up 14 that started left and missed the fairway and the bunkers on the right, and that was a warning sign for me.
If you like the numbers, Tiger had one of his best putting rounds in recent memory, gained over 2.5 strokes on the greens, lost in all 3 other categories. So we'll see how he does on Friday. Real quick, gentlemen, on Jordan Spieth, because we're going to give Kyle Porter the floor at some point this week to kind of go over this. But there was a comment he made in his post-round presser, Doug, that was, he literally said, I want to make sure I get this quote right. It's standing on a tee at the U.S. Open and not exactly knowing where the ball is going to go is not a great feeling. That says it all.
Yeah, Rick, it does. I listened to that whole post-round press conference and was amazed, number one, how honest he is.
Yeah.
This day and age, athletes are so full of cliches, and they don't want to be honest. They want to just say what you want them to say, right? And he was completely honest. He brought it all down. I felt I was really sad after I heard that interview. I know he's struggling, but I didn't know it was this bad. I guess the only positive is that, and the positive that he took out of it, somehow he managed 3 over. And, maybe tomorrow he can do a little bit better, but I don't know. I've never, in modern times now, I've never seen an athlete in any professional sport that honest. It's all out there, man. I'm struggling. I don't know where I'm at. And you just never hear a professional athlete, certainly of his caliber, be that honest.
That's the thing, Doug, what you just said. People were concerned about the second half of the quote. The thing that jumped out to me was he's like, I really don't know what I'm doing. It's like I don't know where to turn next. And once again, there was Spiethgate, because everyone on the Golf Central desk was talking about Jordan still grinding at like 5:30 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon before a major championship. Because it looks to me like it's just no idea what we're supposed to do with the golf swing. And that is, I feel for Jordan. I tell you what, I feel for Cameron McCormick. Me, an instructor, the worst place to be is on the hot seat like that.
Wow.
Because you've got a guy now who's not playing well, who's expecting to be one of the top tier players. He doesn't know where it's going. And now you're like, what do I do that's going to help, that's not invasive, that helps some confidence, and there's all of this concentration and sort of forecasting in your mind on the go. It's just a horrible spot. And yes, Spieth vocalizes the thing, which makes McCormick feel even worse, because now he's always going, I don't know what we're doing. That is, I get goosebumps, man. It is a horrible place.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting because a lot of these guys, and I'm already giving this more time than I wanted to, producer Jacob, sorry, but this is, these guys are so uber confident, right? And we see the guys who, when they hit a bad putt, they'll find something else to blame. They'll tap down a spike mark, Doug. They'll find some reason, every single one of these golfers, or a lot of them, think they're the best guy on the planet at all times. And to hear to hear it. Like it was, I don't know. Yeah. Goosebumps is a good word. It was sad.
It was raw. It really was raw honesty. And when he described the one shot that went in the tree and didn't come down, I thought, oh gosh, that was really sad. And as he said, he goes, normally it bounces down, you find it, I can get up and down. He goes, but you're not stuck in the tree. So things are so bad, even the golf gods aren't smiling on Jordan Spieth right now. No, it's I can't recall another athlete that's ever been that open about problems. And you know, the thing is, if he wasn't such a great young man, right? I mean, he's an outstanding guy. And that's why I kind of feel really, really sad about the fact that he's going through this. And the fact that he probably had his first 3 years out there were phenomenal. Yeah. And obviously it's going to be very, very difficult to ever get back to that form.
Well, look, you bring up a good point, and I'll put a bow on it like that. You know, you've been on the top of the mountain, now you're at the lowest of lows. And here's the complete quote. Someone asked him about working on tempo and timing, and Jordan Spieth goes, there's a lot that's off. I'm really not sure. If I knew, I'd fix it. I'm kind of just working through it and looking forward to having a little more time off to figure it out. I mean, he's saying to you, he's like, I don't know what's going on here. I've got no idea what's going on. When I stand on a tee, it's just calling all pockets over here, and we're just swinging and playing from where it lands. It's a hard place to be.
All right, I want to talk about the afternoon wave and maybe figure out a couple of guys who might be making a move over the next 3 days. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. The afternoon wave, gentlemen. Things were, I don't know if they actually played more difficult or not. I can pull this up here, but the maybe the most notable round is Phil Mickelson's crazy, insane 79, Doug. And I mean, we know the storylines. This is the place he's, not only the event that he's had the most heartbreak at, the course that he's had the heartbreak at, the one thing he needs for the career Grand Slam. But we also know the other side of it, which is Phil's now 50. He misses a lot of fairways, and that can be problematic. I mean, it was all over the place for Phil on Friday.
Yeah, it was. The Amstel Light commercials, it is Amstel Light, right? They're great.
I don't know, but they are great.
Yeah, I mean, they're really funny. I think that's the beer they were talking about. And that's terrible that you don't know. But yeah, those are really good. Yeah, his game isn't obviously he's not good enough right now to win a U.S. Open at 50. And we know that was on display today. He's still a very talented guy for 50. He's just not good enough to win a major championship at a place like Winged Foot. And listen, Sam Snead could never win the U.S. Open. Arnie could never win the PGA. Tom Watson could never win the PGA. Lee Trevino could never win the Masters. It happens. The greatest of the greats. Most of them have a little hole in the resume. And unfortunately for Phil, he'll go down in history with 6 runner-ups, 8 top 5s, 10 top 10s in the United States Open. And he's played, more than 30 of them. So it's just one of those things. But today, and we talked about how sad it was to listen to Jordan. I felt bad for Phil. It's come to a point where I mean, and you could hear the audio going, a couple of times he said, I'm so tired of this. He's hitting a bad shot. He goes, I'm so tired of this. And you could just feel the frustration. So I kind of feel bad for one of the all-time greats. He's going to miss the cut. But man, those commercials are good.
The commercials are good. Mark, it was kind of crazy because he misses the fairway on 1 and 2 and makes birdie on both. And I'm going, oh no, have the stars aligned? What is going to happen this week at Winged Foot? And it never, he puts those 2 in his pocket that he probably stole, and then it didn't get any better. He hit 2 fairways all day. And that is just putting yourself in such a difficult position. I mean, it's unbelievably hard.
Well, if one was truly paying attention, when you got the roving cam's image down the fairway of Phil in a bunker or Phil in the rough, you could see playing partners way out, like 30, 40 out in front of him. So it's not just that he was missing fairways. They weren't just crooked. They were short and crooked. And for a guy who professed that he's hitting bombs and stuff and hellacious speeds and these things, it was just, it was, again, a guy that really wasn't finding the face of the club. Because if you hit it flush and offline, then he can get something shorter in his hand. But he was hitting it short and mishitting it, and then they crooked as well. So then you're playing out of the rough and the bunkers with long irons and stuff. So it was just a bridge too far, especially even for someone as gifted as a Phil Mickelson.
And it wasn't even just missing fairways either, or just coming up short on your approach shots. He lost over 4 strokes putting. Only Davis Riley was worse on Thursday. Wow. So that is a recipe for a 79. Let's talk about some positive stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Okay, we've done Spieth, we've done Phil. Let's get into the positives. We've got a couple of guys who are very interesting who have injected themselves near the top here. Thomas Pieters and Matthew Wolff, both 4 under par. And Doug, we'll start with you on this. Matthew Wolff, I'm big in the fantasy and the handicapping and all that stuff. And I get a lot of questions about Matthew Wolff. And I've been trying to say it's hard to kind of figure out what he is because I think he's maturing so quickly. Like, I can't look at a full year's worth of data on him because I think he's getting better like each and every month. And we're seeing him near the top of leaderboards more and more often. And here he goes out 4 under par in round 1 at the U.S. Open. This kid really seems to be maturing quickly.
Yeah, just a baby, 21. At the beginning of the week, I had 14 guys who I thought had a legitimate chance of winning the United States Open. He was not one of them. Thomas Pieters, I'd forgotten he was even around. Lee Westwood was certainly not on the radar screen. And Rory Sabatini, oh my gosh, he wasn't up there either. But I think of those guys that I just named, Matthew Wolff certainly has a lot more upside. And there's a long way to go in the United States Open. But the way he hits it, he hits it so far. He has that, pound it down there and just gouge it out of the rough mentality like we saw Bryson and some of these other guys. But today he was hitting it really straight. So maybe he's found something. A long way to go. He was in a comfortable pairing with Ricky Fowler. And I know he loves playing with Ricky. And Ricky played pretty good himself. So we'll see. I love these young guys with great upside. And you're right, Rick. He's just a baby. He's just scratched the surface of what could be an outstanding career. We get so far ahead of ourselves, right? I mean, this guy's been around for 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. We need to give him a little time to breathe, but it would be pretty exciting if with that crazy golf swing, he was there late on a Sunday.
It would be fun to introduce himself to the golfing world that way. Mark, I think Doug hits a really interesting point, and one thing that happens a lot on Thursdays, there's a lot of golf left. Some of these names, a lot of these names that are at the top of the leaderboard, Thomas Pieters, Matthew Wolff, Lee Westwood's up here. We've got a Lee Westwood sighting on a Thursday. There's a lot of golf left. There's a lot of things that are going to happen. This leaderboard could be inverted by the time we get to Sunday afternoon.
It certainly could. And just for the record, if Lee Westwood would win, it would be a bigger event for Immelman than I think it would be for Jordan Spieth to come back and win for Kyle Porter, because not great human beings in the world. Anyways, but quickly to Wolff, 26 putts. You've hit 66 shots and 26 of those come with a putter.
Wow.
That is going to do you some favors. Mm-hmm. The iron's good and stuff. And let's not forget with Matthew, he won his NCAAs at the Blessings in Arkansas. And that place is just, it's going to whip you from shot number 1 through shot whatever, because it's difficult, it's demanding. It's the kind of place, kind of like Winged Foot, where if you put a foot wrong, it's going to bite you in the biggest way. And so he's proven that he can play well. Now, it was at a different level. That is not a major championship. But at that stage, it was the biggest championship he'd ever won. And he came through at a canter, at a difficult golf course, hit all the shots he needed to. So he's proven to himself that he can do that. And the thing about Wolff to me is he's got just enough swagger to hang around. He's seen Morikawa do it, and he's beaten Morikawa. So he's like, well, if he can do it, there's no reason why I can't. And so this is how these guys think now, because they like you, Rick, they look at data. And so they go, well, dang, if I hit 320 and he hits 70, I got the leg up. If I'm strokes gained, whatever, positive, and he's not, well, I've got the odds in my favor. So just pull the trigger. So there's that to bear in mind. But to your point, there's every likelihood this leaderboard will be flipped. And I only feel like you'll really start getting a handle on where we are on Saturday evening, because that's when, again, they hand out checks and trophies on Sunday. Right now, we're just positioning. We're in the peloton, and we've just kind of crested the first climb, okay? We're going to little sailing tomorrow morning, then you're going to hit the big mountains on Friday. Saturday, it starts getting like this, and then it's uphill and into the wind the whole way.
We're not even to the Alps yet. We'll get there. All right. So who who do we think can make a move? I mean, Doug, there's a couple of big names here. I mean, Dustin Johnson was 3 over par on Thursday. Colin Morikawa, very uncharacteristic 76 that he shot out there at Winged Foot. Daniel Berger 3 over. Webb Simpson's 1 over. Are any of these guys? Can I sell you on any of these guys to make a move maybe on Friday?
Well, I mean, I think they're all still in the game, but the guy I really like, and I'm surprised you didn't mention him, Xander Schauffele.
Yeah.
Listen, I think Rick, he's played in 10 majors leading into this week, and he's top 10 in 6 of them. So this guy obviously likes the big stage. And I love Xander because when I interviewed him after the Tour Championship, I said, hey, you got to be pleased. He obviously beat Dustin Johnson with the aggregate score by 4 shots. And I said, you got to be pleased by the way you played. And he goes, please. He goes, I played my butt off. And he didn't say but. And I was like, wow. I mean, I love this guy, and he plays tough golf courses really well. And he really doesn't have a weakness in his game. And he hasn't won. Well, he didn't win last season. I guess we're now in the start of a new season. So I kind of like Xander Schauffele. I think he's put himself in position. And I think his game for the next 54 holes, I don't think he's going to lose a lot of strokes to the field. At least the guy that I saw at the Tour Championship and the guy I saw today.
And he likes to hit that right to left shot, doesn't he? You think that plays well around here?
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt. Especially 17 and 18. Those things bend. And for DJ, he doesn't like those things that bend right to left.
And Xander's my one and done pick. Okay. Can you see that video? Right? For the folks on YouTube, you see who that is?
Is it Jocko? Who is it?
Jocko Neiman.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, no.
Around today, I took this video a few weeks ago, and I said, I have a sense that this guy and the way he drives it, that flat ball flight, the way he putts, he's creative. And we swim at Royal Melbourne, which is a place just like this, where there's all sorts of humps and hollows, and you've got creativity, and you can play off those sorts of things. I'm like, I think Jocko's for real. So now he shoots 2 under today. So there's one I think you need to watch. And then I'm going to do this again. Has someone said anything about Brendan Todd shooting 2 under par once again and being inside the top 10 at a big event? Yeah, so I think Todd continues to build. I think Neiman does. I love the way Harris English looked today. And I'd keep an eye on Xander. Those are the guys I'm looking for moves tomorrow.
I love it. I've run the supercomputer, and the name it spit out was Ricky Fowler, who is 5th in this field from tee to green, and he lost nearly a stroke and a half putting. And what do we know about Ricky? He's a good putter. You're not going to keep that down very long. He could be a guy who could make a move. Yes, Mark doesn't like it.
Big eye. If you hit the ball, there's 18 holes, right? So 12 out of 18 greens in regulation, which is good striking around there. Okay.
Yep.
And let's call two-thirds of those in the right sections, and then the rest of those in the wrong sections. I don't care how good a putter you are when you're putting with 15 feet worth of break up and over 2 valleys and down a slope to through the clown's mouth and stuff. No, sorry. I can't be going where you're going over there.
By the way, I appreciate that, and that's why this works. But I thought the coverage did – I thought they worked really hard to try to show the undulation on the greens, and I still don't think that we got it. Like, I still feel like it's crazy. Like, the average person, unless you're out there, unless you're seeing it, can't really get a grasp on it. But I thought the coverage did a pretty good job of showing some of those crazy greens.
Did you see the Zach Johnson putt?
Oh,
yes. Where he played it past the hole on 1, right?
Yeah, say no more. It rolled back and all. So that's the thing. Yes, you can pick up strokes on the greens, but if you're hitting the ball in the wrong place, and I've said this time and time again, not every 5-footer is the same. You can't ascribe the same value to every 5-foot putt, every 20-foot putt, whatever the case might be.
I love it. I think that'll do it, gentlemen. Thank you very much. That's Doug Bell. You can find him on Twitter at Doug Bell ESPN. That's Mark Immelman. You can find him at Mark_Immelman. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut, and we'll catch you next time.